Welcome back to the Capes and Tights podcast right here on capesandtights.com. I'm your host, Justin Soderberg. Once again, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at Galactic Comics and Collectibles at galacticcomicsandcollectibles.com. And fittingly enough, owner, proprietor, and comic book retailer Paul Eaton of Galactic Comics joins us on this episode of the podcast for Banned Books Week, which is here now happening this week. Paul, owner of the comic book store, joins us this week to discuss banned or challenged graphic novels and books and so much more right here on the podcast. Launched in 1982, Banned Books Week takes place this year, October 5th through the 11th, 2025, which is obviously during this week. And you can find out more at bannedbooksweek.org for all that information and so on and so forth. But we talked discussion of why books are banned, what they should be banned, or so on and so forth right here on the podcast. But before you do, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all those places. You can follow us over on YouTube as well, on our YouTube channel as well. You can rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff over on Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. Or you can always visit us at capesandtights.com for so much more. But this is Paul Eaton of Galactic Comics and Collectibles in Bangor, Maine, discussing Banned Books Week right here on the Capes and Tights podcast. Enjoy, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, Paul.
Yeah, like, you never know what's going on here, right?
Exactly. It's always one of those fun things. I'm quiet. There's no one bothering me. And if someone does bother me, I could just tell them to screw off. Like my Ring door camera could go off right now. And someone would be at the door. I'm like, I don't have to answer it. The door that's actually in the studio is my back door. So no one's coming to this. Well, if someone does come to this, it's a problem, Paul. But it's like people can actually knock on your door right now. And you're like, well, that guy could buy a $500 comic right now, so maybe I want to talk to him.
Well, here's the thing: we had a family come in on Friday from Canada. They're on vacation, and their credit card wouldn't work. So they put books aside and said, "Well, I'll be back." Well, they're coming through this morning. They were going to get here right now, like as we're recording. And I'm like, "Well, I don't know, like how I'm going to make this work." And he goes, "Well, tell you what, like, can you run my card and just put the books on the porch for me?" So, like, we have our new security all set up here. So I kind of been watching the porch as I put this package out there, and I just see somebody run up and grab the package and run off. And I'm like, boy, I hope that's the guy.
That's the person.
I hope that's him.
Well, I'm trying to feel like, so like here in, I live in Newport, Maine, home of Cooper Flagg, #1 draft pick in the NBA. And we were talking about like stuff, like I have
Stephen King's better. I win.
I mean, I still, when people are like, where you live, I'm like, Bangor. Like, come on, like it is what it is. But you are actually closer. You're within like legit walking distance to Stephen King's house. But
walk past it regularly. Yep.
But like we have like the stroller for our kids is on the front porch right now. Like not put up, but like taken down. We went apple picking yesterday, so we like took it out of the car and put it on the porch. We just haven't done anything with it. And I'm like, I hope someone doesn't steal that. I'm like, to be honest with you, you have to be pretty ballsy to steal something from someone's front porch anyway. And then there's also a case of beer on the front porch.
That's what's gonna get stolen.
And so I was like, yeah, someone's gonna steal that. My wife's like,
you go back to the Ring camera, it's just me running off, and you're like,
well, I had a possum on my front porch last night from the Ring camera, and it was like sniffing around the case of beer.
That's probably a bigger danger.
Yeah,
your neck.
I was like, and then I have like a small like the seal on the bottom of my door. There's a small hole like to the right side of the door that's like the smallest thing possible, and I'm like,
but
how much can a possum is big? It's not gonna get in.
Possum's big.
But like I heard a noise, I'm like,
a rat can fit through the whole size of a dime, a full-size rat. So it's like,
so we have to fix that. But I was laughing. I'm like, oh, this possum's gonna come get us in the middle of the night. We've already had a bat in the house, so maybe that's how the bat got in.
You're safe for me because I came in and helped with the moving and stuff. I could not find my way back to your house right now. I don't think.
It's not that far.
Like,
it's not that hard.
Just come visit. I'm not giving you like any directions. Let's see how you do. I don't know if I can find my way there. I bet I could.
Yeah.
There's a couple landmarks that I could probably find a landmark and then get my way from there.
Yeah.
But especially after dark. You put me after dark, there's no way I'm getting back there.
The plan is to have you come over some more to parties and things like that. But we're still like in the studio. It's like, I was thinking, I just saw someone post a picture of their studio. Hey, we moved to a new studio, and they post pictures and stuff like that. And I was like, I meant to do that. Like I wanted to do like an update to all podcast listeners and hey, this is where this stuff is, and so like check this out. But like right now over here is just a shit show because there's about 4 pieces of ceiling, a piece of drywall that are just leaning up against the bookshelf right now to fix my ceiling in the kitchen still.
Yep.
There's just a stack of shit over there. The heater's not working. He's not working right now, so I have the heater in here. And so like there's just a thing. And then my wife
I was
My wife's
thinking of
like,
you
"Oh,
this
look at that!
morning
Another
because
thing on the list. Another thing on the list." I go, "It's a home ownership, hon. It's home
I was
ownership."
thinking of you this morning because it's chilly. It's like getting cooler, and I was like, I bet Justin's room's gonna be a lot warmer
Well, it's a lot
here.
warmer than our last place,
Yeah,
but it has its own heat too, Paul. Like we have our own, like
right.
it's thermostat in here and
It's
its
actually part
own
of the house,
register.
the whole
The
deal.
rest of the house is on a different thermostat and different
Yeah.
registers, but mine has its own in here. There's actual insulation in here too. There's not a garage door,
Oh,
which is
that's pretty
nice.
nice.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. And actually, the space heater got it up to the temp. It was 60 in here earlier, but that's also because the AC was in the window. I took the AC out,
Oh, okay.
and
All right.
so
What's this
now we're
Hulk thing? Is that signed? What do you
what,
have
what,
there
what
beside you? The big
where
Hulk like poster over there?
right
Yeah.
here? It's a
Yeah.
curtain.
Oh, it's a Hulk curtain. All right. I thought it was like I was looking because there's like a little bit of blue
It's a
in the
light
screen that
coming
I could
through.
see,
Yeah,
and it
no,
looked like it was like signed. I'm like, what is that? I don't remember that.
it's Hulk. Oh no, it's Tales to Astonish, The Incredible Hulk, and the Submariner number 101. No, there's no real reason why it's on a curtain. Like there's that's a it's a
Dude,
good picture. I
it's
mean, it's
so
got a
funny.
Hulk on it. It's got I don't even know who else is on it. Submariner's not even on it.
Stuff
And
like that. All of
it's
your
a
like
cool
weird
picture, but
properties.
like yeah,
You
I
see
was
all these things and you're like, why did you choose? Like it's great, but then you go look, you're like, why did you choose that? Like it's
my
not.
theory is like I've been looking to buy like pages of artists and stuff like that to put up on the wall in here and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And like there's certain ones that are like $50 and there's certain ones that are $5,000. And my theory is that licensing goes the same way. Like they go in there and they see all the covers, the different things, how we could put it on a piece of fabric. And
yeah,
this had a big piece. The Hulk was front and center. And so they were like, but this one was like really cheap to license. So they chose
right.
this one. But then if you have like Amazing Fantasy 15, it's probably like way more
Way
expensive
more, right? Yeah,
to get. So
if you want a first appearance of Silver Surfer versus just a random artwork of the Silver Surfer or Silver Surfer number one, they're all different pricing.
because I mean,
So
if you just blanketed
it's just like random
licensing as a
issue.
whole,
Issue
yeah, yeah.
7 looks good enough for me, and then you buy that one so you can make your
Well, I bought that one.
stuff out of it, your bed
I
sheets and your
think I have an Amazing Fantasy 15 curtain in there from my old original studio, and
Mm,
then I have a Walking Dead comic book one, and I think I got them all at Martin's. Honestly, they're like it's just like
really.
they're like not big enough for curtains, so we had to add like it's weird. It was like a weird piece of cloth, and why they probably never sold. And people were like, "What do we do with this thing?
What are you guys
Do you
supposed to do
make
with this? Like
like a
have it
baby blanket or a
make a
dog
wall
blanket or
hanger?
something?" Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I need a curtain here by the back door and a curtain over there. So we're gonna work on some stuff over here. But yeah, that's our and it was the first one I found, and I needed something to cover this window because a lot of light comes in from here. And
Yeah.
so I was like, and then I'm like,
That's
well,
the
let's
battle.
look it up. I looked it
That's
up.
the
I'm like,
battle
it
I face
literally
because
is
I'm
nothing.
staring the sun right now in the
Exactly
mornings
right.
in the shop. So hopefully the next location I won't have that challenge.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, well, that's a benefit now. At least to get some sunlight. Whereas in my old studio, it was like it's like either open the garage door or you have no sunlight. Like I would like get into my office in the morning on a Monday and I would not know what the heck's going on outside until 4 o'clock,
Yeah,
five
you have
o'clock at
no
night.
idea what the weather is. You have
No,
no idea. Yeah,
but
just living in a hole.
well, here was this the first comic book podcast? I mean, outside of our annual top 10 comics of
Ooh,
the
this is
year,
the first
we
one in a long
haven't done a
time.
long time where we just talk comics or talk
Yeah.
stuff like this, which we could sprinkle in one here and there. But this is Banned Books Week here, not just on the podcast, but in the world. It
Right.
started in 1982. So we're now what, like 43
43 years
years
because I was
into
born in
it?
82. So
Into this. And so it usually takes place the last week of September, but not always. And this time it's taking the 5th through the 11th, 2025. And it's just bringing awareness to the banned or challenged books that we deal with in this world. There's a lot of things that we're going through in this world right now, but like, so it seems very, like, I feel like I want to say like first world problems here, but in the same sense,
right,
these are things that this is in our wheelhouse. So like, why not talk about
right.
it? Like, there's a lot of things I'd like to just debate right now, that are more impactful to, everyday life. But this is
Yeah,
so
I don't
to me,
know.
I'm like, it's not the end of the world if someone can't read a book or not because there is enough out there, but it is important because these things are created. They're created with a lot of talent, a lot of work goes into these things, as well as there is some meaning to a lot of these comic books and books and things like that. And so I wanted to start off quickly, Paul, just before we get into too much. There's a difference between banned and challenge. So now, when this was
Yeah,
created in 1982, it was all about books that were banned. Like there were books that were just not allowed to be read and put in libraries, things like that.
right.
And then as it got along, as we progressed in the world and things got created, there were more things. The word challenge was added to it. And the distinction between the two is challenge means that someone has requested the removal of it. So a book that's going, a letter's been written to the library or the state house or whatever, to the governor, to the mayor, to the senators, all that stuff, saying we need to take To Kill a Mockingbird out of libraries, and it's a challenge. So they're challenging it. And then there's the word banned, where there's books that are legitimately already a law's been put in place or some sort of ordinance has put in place that says it cannot be put into public libraries, public schools, bookstores, things like that. So the word banned is used as a generic term for it, but not all the books that we might talk about are like legitimately banned. Like you want to get in trouble
Well,
to read these books.
yeah, I was reading about this. There's like different places ban different books. Different like the South tends to have more banned
Yep.
books than the North. Different states it's more common or more requested, and it makes me wonder like how many. I wonder how many requests they get, like on average, and how much it varies from either major city to city or state to state or
Yep.
whatever. It'd be sort of interesting to know those kind of statistics of like what's more common. But I was reading up on this, and I read that the South was much more
Yes.
common to have the banned books.
And
And
it has
I've
to.
got a list here, and I have read actually on the list of banned books and on commonly banned books or commonly um like found or attempted to be banned. I have read almost every one of these.
And you are a
So
horrible person for it, Paul, right? Your
that's
life is
right.
just, you just want to do
Shame
bad
on me.
things and you want to be a
I
horrible person
I
and so on and
carry
so forth.
almost every one of these books in the store.
So also I want to say is if anybody doesn't know and anybody hasn't listened to this podcast, shame on you, first of all. Second
Right.
of all, Paul, father of three girls,
Yep.
me, I have a son and a daughter. So we are parents. And so
Yep.
we do have to live our lives as the idea that we're going to have to control what our parents read or our
Well,
kids read
and
and stuff like
and
that
you and
and
I
take
are in
in.
different parenting in the fact that
Yes.
you still have
Yes.
the littles, and like my oldest is she's gonna be 14 and she reads a lot. I mean, and she reads like adults, she reads
Yep.
Steinbeck and she reads Mark Twain, and she's like we just went to the library a couple weeks ago, and that's what she was straight to Twain, to Steinbeck. She was getting in like might as well be heading right to banned book list here.
That's
In
better than
fact,
me,
she
man.
has one of the notes I had on here is that two of these books on this ban list were ones that she has read, picked out, and recommended.
Hmm.
And I had a conversation with her about one of them, so we can get into that later too.
So yeah, so
So
we
like
have to
we
do,
have another perspective here.
we are coming at this not as a sole our sole directive is that these are great creations. People should read them no matter what. There still is a level of when and where and the right timing to read certain things. Like there's
Yeah, I
not,
think there's
you know,
definitely an
there.
appropriate level, and there's a
Yes,
time and a place, and
exactly. And so that's where I think some of it comes into. And so I don't disagree fully in all of the banned or challenge books that should be out there. Like there's certain things that I'm like, okay, yes, my kid's 4 years old and my daughter's 18 months old and she's in daycare right now. Should the Walking Dead graphic novel be on the shelf at their daycare? Of course not. Like that's just common sense at that point.
right,
But there's a point in time where if a kid's going to play Grand Theft Auto on his Xbox,
pick up a
and you
book.
then you at the other side you can't he
It's
can't read The Walking Dead. I'm like, okay,
right.
come on. Like
Yeah.
there's a line here where
Um,
I'm like, and so on and so forth. And there's the biggest takeaway from all of this to me is it's the whole chocolate milk versus regular milk thing in schools. And that regular milk in schools was pushed, and no kids were drinking it. And so
right.
finally they came out and said, well, if we put chocolate milk in schools, at least they'll get, yes, they're getting more sugar, a little bit more sugar in there, and they're getting the
Right.
chocolate in there, but at least they'll get the vitamins and stuff that's good in milk in
Right.
their bodies. And so to me, I'm like, if a kid is
You're
reading,
reading. You're
that's
reading.
huge to me. And so,
Yeah,
so yes,
absolutely.
there's a huge thing in this. And so obviously we'll get into ins and outs of different books and so on and so forth. But yeah, I wanted to come at it as we are parents, so we have to think about the full grasp of parenting our
Yeah.
kids as well.
Well, and
But
one of my favorite things in here, because I get asked a lot, and we have a YA section, and I always tell
yep,
people the YA is all the way like teen plus still.
yep,
Like, and somebody, a parent will ask me, is this appropriate for my child? I said, I don't know your child.
yes,
That's
exactly.
for you. Read it before you give it to them. Give it a
Yep,
flip through. We've got kids in here. I mean, like 10-year-olds reading Something's Killing the Children.
yep,
Well, the 10-year-old beside him, like Sonic the Hedgehog's like, oh, there's some stuff in this. I don't know how
yes,
happy I am. I mean, they're every kid's different, every parent's different. So
yeah. Well,
It
that's also
all
funny.
does
I'll
come
read
down
it
to a lot
first,
too.
but the parent has to read it though. Like, why I want to read
Right.
this?
I don't want
Like,
to
come
read it.
on.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if it keeps them entertained. I'm happy. And I'm like, well, you might not want to give them Saga. Like,
well, the biggest thing to me is that like by my wife and I talked about this a
just
little bit
on
in
the
the
ban
car.
list, by the way.
Yes, but the idea that people want, so I'm not going to get into a specific political things, but say there's a generic political things where people go, my religion, my beliefs, my this,
Yeah.
that, and the other thing. We should create laws that forbid people from
Right.
doing things that don't agree with me because that will stop it from happening, or that will
Right.
make it less likely it will happen. To me, it then takes the responsibility away off us humans to do what we want. So if I don't want my
Yep.
kids reading something, I should parent them to the
Yeah.
point where I tell them I don't want them to read them. Then I have the discussion. By making it so they can't access it at school, takes the parenting away from me. Now I don't have to do anything because they can't get to it. And so to
Right.
me, I'm like, well,
And I
why don't we
think
take our
there's
own responsibility on these things? So I'm going to use To Kill a Mockingbird as an example for a book that's banned,
yep.
just because it's easy to remember and stuff. But like, if To Kill a Mockingbird's on the shelf in the library and I don't want my kid reading it, when that kid brings it home, I'm going to say, oh, okay, can we please return that? Decide the other reason why I don't want you to read
There's
this.
something else to read.
But by saying they can't get it, to me
Right.
personally, who I was as a young person, I would find my way to get that book. And with the internet
Yeah.
nowadays, it is so much easier to. And so I'm going to find a way to defy my parents if I can't do this. And so defy anything. But if I don't have this discussion with my parents, then they give me a reason why they would want me to read this. By just not having it available, that discussion goes away. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you don't know it doesn't
Yeah, and
exist
it
if it's
gets a
not
lot
there.
into to someone else's rights that just because it
Yes.
offends one person doesn't mean it offends another.
Yes. Exactly.
And I always try to have our store, the big thing I have here is like the store doesn't have political views. It's a
Yes.
store. It shouldn't have political views. It
No.
shouldn't have opinions. And that comes down to each individual person. And I think every person that comes in should be just as comfortable as the next. No
Yes.
matter what their reviews, their opinions are, or their lifestyle is, or what have you, they should be comfortable and happy to come in here. And we should have products and can order products to their beliefs. I mean, whether I'm ordering like animated and colored versions of the Bible, or if we're ordering LGBTQ stuff, it's every person's right and interest for what it is they want.
Yes.
And it's not, I don't know. It's not
No,
our place to make decisions for the
it's not,
masses, right?
and that's my biggest thing. And so here's a lot of it. So banned books. This is banned books week, right? With any first of all, going into it further, bannedbooksweek.org. If you want to read all the information about banned books, check that
Yeah,
out. It's a
check it out.
nonprofit organization doing all this stuff. We're going to talk mostly about graphic novels, and mainly, and I say that the funny thing about this is, I say graphic novels are picked apart a little bit more than books in the sense of one's not
There's
one. Like, one equals doesn't one equals one because there's a lot more To Kill a Mockingbird books sold in the history than
right,
mouse books sold, like for an example,
right,
or Bone or Saga. And that's mainly because To Kill a Mockingbird for a while there was like school reading, like you were required
yeah,
to
it was
read that in
mandatory
school.
reading.
But
It was
also
mandatory
it's been
reading for
around a lot
my
longer,
parents.
and books have been seen a little bit more highbrow and more accepted
Right.
than comics, and that's probably why.
Well,
But
I
they
think it's
say,
hard too because books don't have the imagery.
yeah,
So it goes to your imagination if you're going to read this thing. And if a kid that you don't want having it picks up a book, they have to try to read and find a spot that may be the reason why this is inappropriate to you.
yes.
Versus if it's in the comic format, it has the imagery and a kid can flip through it and
Well,
a
I also
random
think that
7-year-old can grab a horror novel off a shelf and go, "Oh, geez, this guy's getting decapitated." But
it also goes to education to the people who are worried about this, like in the sense that they immediately
yeah,
think comics are geared towards kids, and so it
right,
seems like if someone creates a book like Genderqueer, that you're gearing it towards younger people and trying to influence
right.
younger people with your
Instead
opinions
of
and
it
views and his
simply
lifestyle.
being an
It's
autobiography of this
just an
person's life.
autobiography about someone's life, and someone
Yep.
who's older created it for all people, not just
And this
young
is the
people.
best way that that person does their storytelling,
Yes, yes,
which I think you and I both appreciate for the fact that we read this.
yes, and and so, but the funny thing is, like, they're targeted because of the imagery, and you're right about that. There's some imagery in it, but like, let's be honest. So, like, Wind, for an example, probably would be a modern day comic that was kind of like talked about and banned and challenged probably at some point if it got to a point where someone wanted to put it in
Yeah, and
school
I
or
didn't
whatever.
see Wind on any ban list, but
No,
that
it
wouldn't
is. I don't think
surprise
it's
me
big enough. I
being
don't think
banned.
it's enough no one's banned it because no schools are trying to bring it into their library. I don't think that there's
Right. It
that
may not be part of
push for it,
curriculum.
but it's not like there's two people having sex in the middle of the book. You know what I mean? Like, so there is
Mm-mm.
a level on these things. And so I think that's
Yeah.
where it big comes into it. But we've dealt with this for a long time. We talked a little bit before we started recording was Comics Code Authority has existed in comics for since the 1950s.
Yep.
And it's gone away now. Like there is no real Comics Code Authority anymore. But like
No.
some of those values and some of those things have stayed. Like like the big two have gone away from some of the things, but they're still like they still tread some waters here to make sure that they're sectored
They do, yeah,
wider,
and they
so
they
they're
have
not
their,
picked apart.
DC has their black label where they put more
Yeah,
of that mature audience stuff in, and Marvel started the red band thing where
yeah,
everything's polybagged for your more
protection.
mature side. Yeah, so you're right. The big two do tend to still try to keep it. And that's one of the things I always tell people too. If they're looking for something for their kids to read, more often than not, if you're staying in mainstream, you're probably fairly safe.
Hmm.
There are some Killing Joke is
Yep.
definitely a mature reader. And I saw that was a banned book list, and I
Yes.
can I can see why. Um, and then it goes back to, I think, your where is this falling? Do you want this in grade schools? No. Do you want this in middle school? Probably not, depending on the reader. In high school, that's you start getting into where is it an appropriate level for
Hmm.
sure.
And so we've dealt with it for a while, but most of it had to do with like killing and death and drugs and
Yeah.
things that were very influential at the time in the 1950s were mainstream influential things that are on the thing. So like there was less LGBTQ, less trans stuff, less stuff like that because of
Yeah.
it wasn't the forefront of what we were talking about at that moment.
Well,
And so,
I brought this one along. So this is the homage
yeah,
to a horror novel for anybody watching that can kind of see this, of a
EC
book that
Comics.
basically started the ban list. So
Yep.
little Timmy's going to the comic rack down at the pharmacy and getting Superman.
Yeah.
And then little Timmy goes and they started making horror that was not, I don't know if that was really intended for kids, or if they thought they were
No.
going to get the adults with the like used to be getting their pulp books, and then maybe they grab one of these horror comics. But little Timmy got his hands on it.
Yes.
And there's the woman beheaded with the bloody
Yeah.
axe, and mom saw it, and then mom lost her mind and told the other moms, and then all the moms were burning comic books, and it didn't matter if it was horror or if it was Batman or it was going in the fire pit. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. And so EC Comics basically went away when the Comics Code Authority
Yeah.
was put into
Yeah,
existence and
gone.
more mainstream. So they were gone and they're back now, thanks to a revitalization of it and horror comics and so on. But like, so most of it was that. So the line gets kind of weird. So if you're really into anti something, obviously you're going to try to push your agenda of whatever it is. And so if you're anti this or anti that, and so I can see the sides of things. I can see where someone's like, okay, I don't want this in schools because I don't believe in this, but that doesn't mean that you should ban it altogether. And that's my big part
Right.
on this. Cough. Sorry, I got a dry throat.
Yeah.
But so the big one to me is the one that stands above all the rest. And so we just talked about genderqueer a little bit there. We talked about
Yeah.
Saga. Those two were on the
Genderqueer
list.
was the only one on my list I haven't read, and I actually was going to try to get to the library Saturday because I know the library has it.
Yes, the Bangor
I
Library is
saw it,
pretty
and I
good
was
about
going to
that.
try to
Yeah.
grab that and give it a read, but my weekend was nuts. So
So the most frequently challenged and banned books, according to the ALA list, is Mouse by Art Spiegelman,
yeah,
Fun Home by Alice Beichel. I'm gonna butcher some of these names, people.
yeah, I had the same problem.
Per Persepolis by Marjorie Satrapi, and Drama by Rain Tegelmere. There's more
Brain
and more and
Tagmere,
more.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Saga
Charlotte
by
loves
Brian K.
Brain
Vaughan.
Tagmere.
Yeah, she's
What was
for now.
that
So,
one?
but
Oh, what was the Brian K. Vaughan one?
a Saga, and then
Yeah,
also
well,
something the Baghdad one.
Pride of Baghdad.
Yes, but
Yeah,
see, so if you look at this list, so genderqueer, fun home, drama, and those are the ones that are at the top of the list. The five lists I just found really quickly are sexuality, LGBTQ plus. Like those are the themes, nudity. Those are the ones that get a lot of pushback on it. But the one that
yeah,
stands out the most to me, that's like history that people are just trying to ignore almost is Mouse. And I think
Yeah.
that there is in that book, there's profanity, there's nudity. Yes. Okay, that I understand that's a little bit rough probably. But I feel like that's a secondary pick why people don't want to do this because of the Holocaust themes that's in it. And I
Yeah.
think that that's the big part about it. And I'm like, to me, I'm like, you can't, that's not a choice.
No.
A choice to
Um,
not believe in something, like a choice to say that I don't agree with something, like I don't agree with transitioning, or I don't agree with LGBTQ plus, like I don't agree with sexuality in that way. That's
right.
one thing. But to say, don't teach my kid about the Holocaust or don't teach anybody about the Holocaust,
Right.
that happened, Paul. Like that's
That's
legit.
history.
Like that's part of history. It's like saying in the
So
United States we book about
for
slavery, you're like, that didn't exist. No, no, no.
right.
It happened. We need to
It
teach people
happened
this.
and people should know.
And
And
again, there's a
the
level
thing
how
with
low. I don't
Mouse,
want Mouse at my kid's preschool. He's 4. I want him to read Sesame Street. I want him to read. He watched Bear in the Big Blue House on TV right now. He's innocent right now. But in
yeah.
the next few years, as he grows older, and he starts asking questions. But I mean, he asked me the other day how people die. He's
Yeah.
4. And so at some point, these conversations are going to happen. And so to me personally, the best way to teach someone a little bit about the Holocaust is to have them read a comic book, Paul.
Well, yeah, I think so. I personally think Mouse should be a required reading,
Mm,
probably in your your junior high level thinking.
yeah.
So for those that don't know Mouse, Mouse is a biography Art Spiegelman wrote of his father's his life in World War II as a Jew that was serving and then captured by the Nazis and put in a concentration camp. And he chose to tell the story through animals and through the art of it. And no, I've read Mouse. It's not a easy read,
Mm-mm.
let's say it's deep. But that's the things that you should be having conversations about. And you're right, that's history. Not teaching it, you are destined to repeat it. This is what happened, and I do agree. I think as far as that conversation goes, this is a strong book to
Yes.
read for that subject.
And that
Um,
goes over to the other side
it's
of things.
probably
If
my
you're
number one book that I disagree with in the ban list.
Yeah, exactly. And here's Saga, fun
Yeah.
book,
I don't think I'm mature enough for Saga.
great book. It's a fun story, but the thing is, it's a story with some inappropriate imagery for
Right.
certain
I
age
read I
ranges.
read on a file card at a local bookstore. It's the best family story you never want your children to read.
Yes, yes.
And I'm like,
Well,
that's accurate.
but
Yeah.
Brian K. Vaughan wrote that book for the purpose of writing a fantasy story. Like this isn't
Right.
like he didn't
He
write
didn't write that for
Saga
kids to
to
read.
be like Art Spiegelman's writing this book was a purpose to that. That wasn't
Yeah.
just like, oh, I'm going to create a book around the Holocaust. I'm gonna,
No, he's
like
telling his father's story.
this is a story and this is legit. And so like Saga, actually, to me, I'm like, okay, I understand that. There's like weird boob imagery in that and like animals that have boob and like there's just things in it that you shouldn't. There is a level. It's like at one point it's just drawn pornography. I understand
Right.
that. So like that where I can see that that's a level where when you can have it. But that's the reason why we have mature PG, all these things
Right. All these things on it. And
on
books do have that on them for our world. A lot of them do have like a T plus sign
yes.
or a YA sign. They have these things.
But doesn't
Um,
that leave it up to you as a store owner, A, if you don't want to carry it, you don't have
if
to
I don't want to
carry
carry
it.
it, I just won't order it.
Or B, a customer coming in there if you don't want to have it happen. So, and you have a thing, there is rules. Like if someone came in and wanted to buy a mature, the Red Band, a Marvel book, and you knew this kid was 11 years old, you probably wouldn't sell it to them. You'd say, hey, sorry,
No, if I don't know, yeah, if I don't
parent has
know
to
their
be here.
parents or something, I'm gonna say, yeah,
Yeah.
but you're gonna have to come back with your parent and say, yeah, you can
And the
buy
parent,
Punisher
and
Red
at that
Band.
point, you can't say no either. Like the parent's like, no, I let him read that. Okay,
Yeah, that's
it's your
fine.
decision. I
Yeah, the
can't
kid
parent
the
you.
kid reading something to kill the children. I said to her, like that's a mature book.
Yeah.
There's there's a lot of death in it and
Yeah.
murder in it. And she goes, oh, he saw Friday the 13th when he
Yeah.
was 6 and he loves horror and this and that. I'm like, okay, well, if you're good with it, then
And it's the
great. And
same
yeah,
thing.
if
So
he's
I work
reading,
in
then
the,
great. I'm all for like whatever gets him reading,
I
but
got
it's every
OBC
kid,
stuff on, right? I work at a
right?
brewery. I deal with alcohol. And one of the rules you take when you're serving alcohol for the tips training course, the alcohol safety training course, is that if a pregnant woman comes up to the bar and orders a beer, you cannot say no. It's
Right.
against the law to not serve them alcohol if they request it. Is it inappropriate? Is it wrong for that woman? all likelihood, yes. Like, it's
Right.
probably not the best choice for her. Here's the deal: one beer in the span of your 9 months, 10 months of being pregnant is not going to hurt the development of the kid.
Right.
However, if that person has drinks a lot and so on, so there's studies on that. But it's against the law to not serve that
Right.
person
It's
alcohol.
her.
So,
It's her
in the
choice.
same sense, comes into this is like, if you feel like it's wrong for that person's kid to drink something that's killing the children, that's not up to you though. That's
Huh.
up to the parent. So if the
Yeah.
parent's there and like, I want to buy it, you're not going to risk your reputation
No.
as a store
Absolutely not.
and all that stuff to not sell them that thing. But that's up to the parent, in my opinion. That's why this comes down to it. And also for comics, we've dealt with this for a while with the Comics Code Authority, like I mentioned slightly. But I'm also like, don't like this black and white of like, it's not allowed or allowed. Like this
Right.
whole like
What's
this
okay and what
fighting
isn't?
for it. Yes, exactly. And there's,
'Cause
I mean,
there's a so one of the books on this list, this one Summer by I'm gonna butcher this one, Miriko Tamaki.
yes.
I hope I got that close. So Charlotte came to me with this book at a bookstore and was like, I want this. And then she said, I got it off the banned list. And I gave it a flip through. I said, okay. And she read it, and we were talking about the reasons this book's banned. She goes, Dad, I don't really get why it's banned. Like the girls are talking about sex, and it's about two girls that are friends that only see each other during the summer, and them catching up on their lives, and them starting to become teenagers. And um she's like, there's nothing in that book that like I wouldn't talk about with my friends.
Yep.
You know, maybe not sitting in the living room with all of us, parents
Mhm.
around, but privately. And that's like part of life and maturity and kids growing up. And like I feel like, in my opinion, like some of these kids need this sort of stuff. Maybe a
Yeah.
kid needs to read about it and read that it's okay that other people do discuss these things, or what have you. And if a kid's uncomfortable or doesn't have that person they can speak with to know that these things
Yeah.
exist, that they're not like the odd one out.
Yeah.
So I was surprised in why this
Well,
was on a ban list.
well, so Taylor and I talked to the car the other way on the way back from camp on Sunday, and we were talking about how I want my life to be easier, right? Like I just want my life to be easy. So if the easiness means in our life, and we believe in a pretty wholesome household, meaning that one of us, we both cook, we both clean, we
Yep.
both do things. Like I do
Same.
most of the mowing, but she'd be willing to do the mowing and so on and so forth. There's
Yep.
not like this. I do all the work. Taylor does all the cooking and cleaning.
Right.
Like the old school mentality
Right.
of how
Nope.
this
Same.
relationship
Same in
works.
our house.
We're
Yep.
very and we're not in some weeks are more one side or the other, so on and so forth. But the reason why that's like that is not because I want an equal household. It's because it's freaking easier, Paul. Like
Right.
like and I've always said this to people. I'm like, would I like my son to grow up not liking anything really weird, like anything like really obscure? Yes,
Right.
because it's easier to maintain that child because like that's pretty straightforward. If he's
You're not
also that
trucking
no,
to every store in town and ordering stuff off the
yes,
internet because his favorite
exactly.
thing is
Well,
a
think about it. Like
random
I'm not.
one season cartoon that went out
Yes,
20 years
yes.
ago.
Well, I'm thinking about. We talk all the time about your kids baton twirling. Like I
Yeah.
don't know any. I didn't know anybody growing up that did it. I don't know any
No.
parents other than you that do it. So there are a bunch, obviously, because obviously your kids have a bunch of people that go to these things.
Oh yeah.
But like to your life would probably be
It's
easier if they
thing and all.
didn't do baton twirling, but they
Right.
do. But so my whole thing
Yeah.
is like I would like life to be easier. So the easier way to explain to someone about maybe gender identity or other things, if I could just hand my kid a book and have him read it,
Go read this. Yeah.
like to me, I'm like
And a
that would be
book that- In
easier.
a book that if you read it and you feel like this is a
Yes.
good explanation or whatever,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, because I can't explain what's in a book like Genderqueer.
No.
Like, because I don't have those feelings and that understanding. But if one of my children is asking me about it, you're right. This is a person who lives this life.
Yep.
This is a person's experiences in this life. Read it.
And I can see if it wasn't talked about at
And maybe
all,
we would
Paul.
all be better people if we read more of these books, right?
Well, think of it. If it wasn't talked about at all, you know, what I mean, like, so if like there's a book about bloodletting or something like that, you're like, okay, that could probably be a banned book. Like, I understand about like that's pretty obscure and like pretty because it's not talked about at a, outside the point. This kid, your 14-year-old, is going to learn about this stuff at school from
Yeah.
friends, from
Yeah,
other
she
parents.
has friends that lead, like, live this life. This is their everyday
And
life.
if they don't, they're someone's parents do. So this is part of our society nowadays. And so like, banning books does not put it away and put it in the closet anymore.
Well, and that was something I want to talk about in this too that surprises me in the world we live in. we have Pride Month, we have LGBTQ
Yeah.
is so much more accepted and part of our regular day life than it was even growing up in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So why we're banning these sorts of books, I don't understand. Why you would ban just because the main character is gay and that the story is about magic, but the story is really about also a child coming
Yes.
into his own and understanding who he is, also as a gay character that
Yeah.
is in this book. It's a bigger picture, genderqueer, all of these books. Why would it be banning this stuff?
And
Like,
again, to me, I think it's one of those things, and this is another discussion that might be some might disagree on a whole thing. Is like the age groups of
and I'm
things.
sure I have friends that if they listen to this will disagree with me right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, and I think so too. And like I said,
So,
I would like
go
this
ahead.
conversation to be more of a conversation and not just a this is wrong, this is right. But like
Yeah.
there may be like I said, an age group of things. There's middle grade, there's young adult, there's adult books, and so there may be a part where like there's like more of a it has to go through some sort of part like a board saying something about whether or not what age group it is, and then the school can say we don't carry young adult books, and then
Right.
they don't carry that because of that. But by picking it out because of the content of it's in the book is a difficult thing because again, then you're like picking apart people's stories and people maybe be apprehensive to tell their stories because of
Yeah.
it and so on and so forth. And a lot of people work very hard on these things, and I think that goes to a lot
Absolutely.
of these comics. Art Spiegelman, have it's like their own. They're the cartoonist on it, so they're writing it,
Yeah.
they're illustrating it, and so on and so forth. This is not like I'm writing this book because it's an edgy book and I want people to like it's gonna get some news articles
Yeah.
and I'll get
This
someone
is
else to write it. This is like
many of
their
these books.
stories.
Like I think reading about the creation of genderqueer,
Mm.
um, this wasn't written by a creator who wanted to make a bunch of money off of creating a
No.
comic book. This was written and told because this person has these life experiences
Mhm.
and wants to share their story in hopes that it could help someone else that is living that same experience.
And so my
So,
line is genderqueer. There has to be not just a that it exists in this LGBTQ plus community
right,
and not. It has to be about the meaning behind it, in my opinion. Like so,
right.
like Saga, even Bone on one side, it's like there's nudity for nudity's sake, in a sense.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
surprised Bone's banned because Bone has no
it's
doesn't have any nudity.
challenged some
It's
places because of
yeah,
violence and tobacco use. Like that one
no,
to me is
yeah.
like,
I had
honestly,
to
I'd rather ban a book nowadays off of tobacco use than I would about gender identity.
right. I
My son and daughter she can experiment and figure out where their lives go in gender identity. I don't
yeah,
want
so
them
smoke
smoking
cigarettes while
cigarettes.
you're doing it. Yeah, don't
Like,
vape.
that I'm gonna put my foot down. but
So
like I
it's
can see
funny
that
because
like
Bone, I had to go
spectators.
back. I had to go back and order a first edition Bone because that's when I read,
Yeah,
and I started reading a copy in here, kind of flipping through and reading, and I was like, wait a minute, what is going on right here? What is
yeah,
this? I don't remember this panel. And
hmm
then where is this panel? And then like,
yeah,
oh, this has been like redone
hmm
to remove stuff that people thought was inappropriate or what have you. Because I read Bone, there's nothing in Bone I thought
yeah.
was, but everybody's different.
But there's
But
nudity for nudity's sake and violence for
yeah,
violence sake and all that stuff. And so like, there's this difference between the meaning behind telling a impactful story in comic book form or just having like Spectators from Brian K. Vaughan is a great new book that just came out. But for some reason, most of his characters are naked. Like
right.
there's not like 100%. That story probably could have been told in a different way, could have nudity in it, but like to have your people just running around and flying around naked
And it
and
probably,
ghosts.
and there's a book that really probably shouldn't be on shelves in a school.
No. And so that's to me, that's pornography more
And
than
then
it is
and you do
anything
get,
else.
and
And
I think
so
that is another perfect thing of confusion in our world of trades and comics
yeah,
and graphic novels are that you should maybe have two sections. You should have your trade graphic novels that are
yeah,
designed for YA and all readers, and then you should have another section of that stuff.
yeah.
And I
And so
can
like
see that still being a question: what goes in there and what doesn't. But
yeah, exactly.
things like
It's the
Saga probably
accessibility,
shouldn't be
but
sitting on the shelf next to Sonic the Hedgehog.
yeah, but
Like,
the biggest I think it comes down to religion a lot of this too. And I don't want to get into religious beliefs or anything like that. But my point is that the same people who want genderqueer to not exist in
mm,
that library are also the same people fighting to have the Bible in there. And
right.
so that to me is like, okay, you can't really have one or the other. And
You
I
can
just
have
think
one in
that's one
there.
of those things.
Yeah.
There's literature out there. It's great. It's wonderful. I mean, one of the literally so banned books exist very strongly, like Fahrenheit 451 and The Killer Mockingbird and all.
Yep.
Uh, um, but genderqueer has always, since its release, has been in the top one, two, three of the number
Yeah.
of banned books. And I
Yeah.
say, and that is mainly because people don't want people to know about
They're
that, and
uncomfortable with it. Yep.
and uncomfortable with it. And so to me, it's just this weird aspect
I
of it. I
think
think that
talking novels. Have you read Kill a Mockingbird?
I have not read. So
Yeah.
it's on my
So
list. So one of the I read Fahrenheit 451 recently,
okay.
and that is weird because it's a banned book about banned books basically. So like it's a weird,
If you put banned book in the title, you're gonna get banned.
yeah. It's about, and a lot of it is to control the narrative, Paul. Like the reason
Right.
why they banned books and did book burnings and stuff like that in Nazi Germany and all that stuff is because the less knowledgeable your people are, the
Easier they are to
easier they are to
control.
control. And so,
Yep.
like, if you have people don't, if younger generations don't learn about gender identity, then you can easily control the narrative as they get older and
Well,
not have people have that choice anymore. And
so
that's what this
that's
comes
my
down
thing,
to.
like To Kill a Mockingbird, because I've read To Kill a Mockingbird, and I feel like it's a picture, a window into time.
Hmm.
It shows a lot about his time. And so talk about like comics world, Will Eisner, the Eisner Award for best in comics. I read one of Will Eisner's famous works, The Spirit, and was blown away with the like
Yeah.
racism in it. Holy smokes. But the book itself is not about being racist. It's
No.
not about having slaves or anything like that. It is sort of a picture in time. This was
Yes.
the way people identified and did things, and I don't agree with it. However, it is interesting to look back in history and see our evolution of people,
Hmm.
which is important too. So to ban some of this stuff just because it took place in a time that's maybe not so great
Yes.
doesn't mean we shouldn't learn about it
And again,
or have
that
it
goes down
accessible
to
to read.
controlling people. And that goes down to if we can control what people read, we can control the narrative. So there's the idea of the mouse being banned. So that if you control the idea that the Holocaust isn't a big thing, then we don't have to worry about that.
Right,
And maybe it could happen again because people don't know much about it. And so like
right.
the steps and the so it'll be obviously a longer term goal on that sense. But you know what the crazy thing is, Paul?
Mm,
Mouse as a graphic novel has been a longer term banned book or challenge book because it came out years ago and compared to
right. Yeah, it came out a long time
genderqueer,
ago.
for example, is it won a Pulitzer Prize.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
this book is so widely awarded and loved.
Right. And then we're banning
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we're banning it. And so,
Yeah.
but that's some of it. Some of it goes down to it. And you know, again, it's about control. And I think that's what people want. People want less knowledgeable people out there. And I
And
think that
and talking of that, another very commonly banned book is V for Vendetta,
yep.
a book that I love. It's one of my all-time favorite books, and is for those of certain political mindsets. It could be a how-to, but
Mhm.
that's something different. Overthrow your government and such. What?
Exactly.
Um,
Well, I mean,
but
there's like
that's one of those books too that is, I mean, it was written in the 80s,
yep.
late 70s, early 80s, and for no, that was 80s or 90s. I don't. Anyways, to have that book banned, I didn't see anything in that specific. It was very much about a world that was under a ruling and a dictatorship, and one
Hmm.
person trying to do their part to free people as a whole, and that an overwhelming amount of the populace didn't even know they were being controlled
Yep.
until this one person started showing them. And the idea that that's getting banned because we don't want your big picture thinking, or we don't want you considering and questioning the authority. I'm like, really? Like V for Vendetta getting banned? Because that's one of those ones too that you like.
Well, if you, in my opinion, too, it's like if you're in a topic that is controversial, even if it
Yeah,
should be or not should be or shouldn't be, and you get banned or challenged, it should almost be like a check mark. Like, yes, I did it. I fought against the authorities of
I
what people want,
I've
and that's a
offended the
freedom.
right amount of people to finally
And
get
we're
it. It's like when
yeah.
you see your post on Facebook, it's got a love, a like, and an angry face, and you're
Yeah.
like, all right,
Yeah. Well, what point does this like impact the First Amendment too of freedom of speech
right,
and being able to, and so
yeah,
this comes down to um, the big thing I would say about all these things is that all these books we're talking about are accessible. So whether or not they're
yeah. It's not like you
banned,
can't get
challenged, or whatever, you can read all of these books. They're
right.
not, they're and you're never not going to be able to. So the only ones that you'll see that like will be harder to find at time is maybe even self banned books, like bans that the author themselves realized, like
Right.
The Rage by Stephen King is about a school shooting. And so he, as an author, said to the
In our
publisher,
current
could you please
world,
put this out of print? I do not want
yeah.
this out there anymore. At the time, it was not as big of a deal as it is nowadays. And so he doesn't want that out there. He
It
doesn't
was
want
it was
it.
not so much an unfortunately common trend, right?
Correct.
Like,
And so at that
I mean, it's
point, it
not
was
even
a horror novel about this, and it was actually by Richard Bachman, his pen name. But like, um, that book is no longer available in print. Does not mean you can't get it. Like there is resales, there's all this stuff.
right.
It's just a lot harder to find and read because all those ones are social limited that they're also more expensive to get. So like, it's not as easily accessible. So those are the ones that I can understand. Like obviously, I don't want a book about school shootings in the school library. That
No.
it's like cut and dry. Like come
No,
on,
and I
like,
mean, I don't think you and I are going into school libraries to check books out either. Like,
no.
that's the other
I mean,
catch.
I don't think we're allowed to be in school libraries unless it's your own kid's school library. I guess that's different. But like, I think they'll question us just walking to a school library.
Walk in.
You know,
You
side
guys
note,
have mouse around here
yeah.
anywhere?
Side note,
Who
I
are
did see
you?
a shirt that I want to get that said, always chasing the Scholastic Book Fair high. I'm like, yes, I want that.
That's
Because it's
awesome.
true. That was one of the greatest days in the history. And, you know,
Oh,
and here's the
every
deal.
year in
I don't
school.
think my parents wanted me to read friggin' Goosebumps when I was that age. And so there is this line that parents, again, should be parenting. I think that's the
Yep.
big part I think I'll take out of this. If
Oh,
you, if
100%.
you as my dad is a conservative Christian pastor, and as a young, if I was 14 years old right now, in all likelihood, he would not want me to read genderqueer. But that's
Sure.
his right as a parent of me to tell me that I don't want this read in my house. You know what's going to happen though?
You're gonna
Just
go
like
read
my
it.
childhood, I'm going to go read it because
You're gonna go
that's how it
find it
is. And so,
somewhere. Friends got it, something.
I mean, let's be honest. I was like 12 years old when I saw my first porno mag. Do you know what I mean? So like, or even probably younger than that, honestly. And that wasn't allowed for me to have. You know what I mean? So like, it's one of those things that like,
But
it's you get access to it. How many
right.
times did you see R-rated movies or sneak into an R-rated movie so that you are gonna get
Oh
this?
my God.
And by to me, by
I've been watching
removing the
R-rated movies since I was 5 by accident, and it was like, well, he's broken.
well, when I smoked cigarettes at like 16, 17-year old occasionally, and it was only because it was unaccessible for me because I
Yep.
couldn't just go to the store and buy them, and I thought it was cool. And
Yep.
so once I turned 18, I haven't smoked a cigarette since, Paul. And that's because wasn't like it's easily accessible to me. So my whole thing is if you make these things easily accessible and they're regular literature that you have to read or
removes all
call
that.
it removes all the stigma to it, and it makes it so that kids probably will or will not pick it up. They only pick it up if they're interested in it. And no
Right.
one's required. Required reading is weird in school. I feel like there should be like up to the teacher of the class, which
Yeah.
which
Well, and so a friend of mine's a teacher, and I had a conversation. It's funny because I was over at his house. We had a nice like fire and get together, and I said, "All right, I got a podcast coming up Monday. Let's talk." And he's like, "Oh, what are we talking?" Banned books.
Mhm.
And he said he feels as an educator, it is he doesn't do a lot of required this and required that. He does the same
Yeah.
thing of I'm here to steer you in a path that
Yeah.
you're choosing, and I'm trying
Yeah.
to help you find it. So
Mhm.
he's like, I try to have, he has Pride of Baghdad on his shelf. It's a banned book. And he's like, and I will tell anybody who's picking up, be prepared
Mhm.
for the violence, be prepared for a different perspective on life and this
Mhm.
and that. But I'm not going to tell you not to read this. And he said, and that's his feeling of all of these things is like, and ultimately, right, if you're encouraging a kid to read and someone to expand on their horizons, then why are we taking that away in the first place?
And
I think I'm a much better person now, and I read all of these things than
Yeah.
I was 20 years ago
yeah.
when I thought I had one tunnel vision of this was what life was, and that's where I lived.
And that's a big thing because there's so much more to life nowadays that people are. And so the bigger thing is that bans, like when you ban a book or challenge a book or have it in the news and all that stuff, I think it speaks more to the anxieties of the parents
Right.
than the actual book itself or the kids.
Or the laziness of the parents. I don't
Yes.
feel like actually parenting my child. So
Yeah.
will you do it for me and tell me what's
Yes.
appropriate and what isn't, and make sure
The
they can't get things that aren't?
The actual harm to kids is such a small amount compared to what we're making this out to be that it becomes more of an issue of that. And then also the paradox of like banning books often increases the intention and readership of these things. So like again, it's you're calling more attention to this by
Oh,
by
every
saying that
time Mouse
day.
gets banned somewhere, the sales go up.
Yep, exactly. And so, and then also, Jeff Smith, the creator of Bone, his defense to this whole thing, and I wrote this quote down. It says that kids are smarter than we think. and that they can handle these things. I think that's another thing. It's like you're just because a kid's a kid, you don't think they're as smart as they actually are, and that they actually, like you said, your daughter's seeing things and going, "Why? I don't understand. Like
Asking
this is
questions.
just part of life. Like this
Yeah,
is also like I don't
and
understand this. My friends'
they're
parents are
developing.
gay.
They're
I don't like
easier
yeah.
to do this than we are.
Hmm.
It's easier for them to accept and change and adapt and learn and form those new thoughts of highways than we've got. Like we're stuck in our ways. I'm old. I can't remember where I left my keys.
Exactly.
Like, you want me to?
Well,
All of my brain power is trying to remember where I left my wallet today.
And there's certain ones. So now we live in a world of adaptation, Paul, too. So like you have people who have taken books or comics or stories and adapted them into TV or movies and things like that. And so you have there's certain ones I'm still kind of confused on why we haven't got modern adaptations, and maybe that is the band. They're just afraid to make this thing or whatever. There was a Fahrenheit 451 that came out with Michael B. Jordan a couple years ago that was very bad. Don't recommend watching it. But the one prior to that was 1966, I believe. And so, like, for that many years, we haven't actually had a Fahrenheit 451, which seems so much relevant today to make a movie for this. Like, it feels like it seems like a right picking. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like with what's going on. But like The Walking Dead, for an example, has been on challenge book in certain places in the country, and it's obvious reasons to that one where there is
another one. You don't want
violence and all that stuff in there, but
you don't want.
But it's a zombie apocalypse,
school,
Paul.
You don't want
this is a fake.
But in high school,
but it's a fake fantasy world too. Okay, you know what? I'll tell you right now that if the zombie apocalypse happens, my kid can kill someone. A zombie.
Yep.
Right. So that's
teach him how.
that's a fault. Like, that's not even possible to happen. So like to me, I'm like, okay, yes, there's a level of when I want my kid to experience so much violence. So there, again, that goes into more of when they should read it, not if they should read it. But guess what? You know how accessible it is to watch the Walking Dead TV show?
Just gotta put it on.
Just gotta put it on. And guess what? Glenn, spoiler alert, Glenn gets his head smashed in. I would say almost worse than in the comic book. And so
yeah, that was pretty bad.
It happens. People get their heads decapitated. People like there's just people get the show. I don't think there's many people out there are worrying about what books in the library as they are watching what their kids watching after school.
I think that's the huge thing. Seeing Glenn on the show was definitely worse for me than reading it in the book.
It's the black and white grainy imaging in a comic book versus the actual full high def picture on AMC. God. And so like to me that there's not a full like we need to ban The Walking Dead as a whole. Right. It's like a focus on the comic book for some reason, or we don't need to ban, all imagery on TV of the LGBTQ plus community. Only do genderqueer. So this weird thing, and it's true. The same people are fighting for it all along, but they're like able to. It's like when Jeff Bezos started Amazon. The reason why he did books to start off with, he wanted from the get-go everything story. He wanted a store where you can just order online anything. And he started with books because of the ISBN system. And so that there was a system in place that he could implement into his website that already had all of the books available. And so if someone wanted a book, he could get the book kind of thing. Whereas there's not a place for carrying golf balls and condoms and, and like and laundry detergent, iPods. There isn't that. So he had to build this structure around something and then add to it. And so people are doing that. It's easy. I say easy. It's easier to ban a book from being in a library and put the pressure on a state or a town or community to say we don't want this in our library or in a bookstore, and then expand from them to then eventually saying that ABC can't carry anything that has gay characters in it or whatever. So there's a place to start, and it's been like one of those things that people are fighting for in local communities. My love for this, Paul, is it's never gonna take hold, and that's where I'm getting out of this. Like what I'm thinking as I read some books, read some information about this, just started to talk to you, is that like the benefit we get out of this is I don't feel like we're needing to fight for it as much because I don't think it's going anywhere. Genderqueer is going to be around. It's available. It may not be easily accessible for certain people, but it's accessible. And I think that to me is a positive takeaway from this.
Yep, it's there. You'll get it.
Mouse is available. Bone is available. Saga's available. Again, it's up to the parent or the guardian or the person who's in charge of this small child to whether or not you want them to read this book at what time they want to read this book. There's a time that I'll say to my son, read this book if you want to, or it's accessible. If you don't want him to read it, don't put it in front of him. But like,
I've encouraged Charlotte to read both Bone and Mouse already.
Yes. Bone is one of those ones that your daughter can deal with the violence and the cigarette smoking. I think this, Cigarette smoking's gross. I don't think that that's an issue with people
No,
wanting to smoke or not nowadays.
no.
I think
Yeah,
we are
because
gonna.
this random
If it was
furry
vaping though,
dragon is smoking
Paul,
a cigarette, yeah, it's gonna
if
make me want to
Bone
smoke a
was
cigarette.
vaping, if Bone was
Right,
vaping, it might be different.
right.
But
I don't mind it.
it's. I mean, I went to a concert on Saturday night, and there was people there, and people smoking weed all over the place. It's like weed is still illegal in all these places. They're still experienced it. I heard 14-year-old kids going, "That smells. That smells so bad." I'm like, see, they're gonna
Yep. Yeah,
self-police
they're gonna get
themselves.
it.
Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
that's true. I
and
don't
I
care.
honestly think weed smoking for younger generation is gonna go further away because of how legal it is
Now
nowadays.
it's
Like,
legal and everybody can do it, and they're like, nah,
yeah,
I don't want to do this.
my
As long as they
parents
don't
are
go
doing
to
it.
do
Why would I
something
want to do
worse.
that? Like, my parents are smoking weed. Why do I want to smoke weed? That's so
Right.
old school. And then they're gonna be like, I'm gonna snort cocaine instead. No.
I was gonna say, yeah, where are them bath salts at? I read about those back in the day. Those sounded cool. Yeah, that's just what we need.
But I think again, banned books are a big thing, and I think that in this day and age, something's killing the children. One of the reasons why I feel like
I am
it's not as
surprised that's not on the ban list. It must
but
just be because it's not widespread enough.
so
Probably.
obviously the Kill a Mockingbird has the word "kill" in it, right? Obviously
Right.
that's good. But like a lot of these other ones, like Mouse or Bone or Saga or
Yeah.
don't have anything in the title that's going to scream at you. So if you think about I'm a librarian, I'm ordering books from my library, something
Yeah.
that says something's killing the
Something
children,
is killing the children.
it's
It
likely
really
not
gets right
something
to
that's
the
going to be,
point.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
not going to
it
be
gets
something I'm
right.
going to carry,
It gets right to the
know?
point.
Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
think that might have something to do with it, like Exquisite Corpses
Yeah.
is likely, and that's a James Tynion's leading the
Leading the charge
revolution
with
here.
it.
But yeah, so
Boy,
I
they're
think
gonna be
that's,
confused with Nice House by the Lake. This wasn't at all what I thought this was gonna be.
and
I
so
thought this
there
was about
is
a family
that.
vacation.
And I'd like to see that. What book, and say this does go opposite direction than I think it's going, that I think that we're going in a world where we're going to have more widely accepted literature and that these things won't be as a challenge as they will be. I'm hoping
Right.
that's where we go, not to Fahrenheit
Not the other direction.
451, where it goes the opposite direction. Is that what books would be the ones? Say it goes the way of being more challenged and more banned and stuff like that. Like what books would do that? And I think there are. I mean, James Tynion might be leading that chart, like in that category of like
Yeah.
writing books that are thing. But in a world we live in comic books nowadays, Paul, there's a wide representation of people, whether
Ton.
it be gay
Huge.
characters or trans characters or black characters or any other race characters, like female, male, kids, old adults,
Yep.
aliens, weird creatures. We have such a wide variety in comic books nowadays. It would be really, you'd have to ban comics basically at this
Right.
point, like in general, because there's just everything has something in it that someone's not going to like.
Yeah,
But
totally.
more people are going to like, hopefully, than not like it. So it's cool. I love being in this world of comic books because of
I
that.
hope so,
Like, there's
because
just
if not, I'm
something.
gonna be out of a
There,
job.
there's legitimately, in my opinion, something for everybody in comics nowadays. Like, I say that because I want people to read comics. I want people to go to your shop.
Yeah.
But I think that any soul that walks off the street and goes into your store, there's something in that comic book store
I
for
can
them.
find something. Yeah. Well, we have a new reader now. It's funny. He's been in the store 2-3 times a week.
Mhm.
He just started, and he started with Batman. And he's already like, all right, I can't go too deep yet. So I'm sticking with Batman for now, but I come in, I'm so excited to start when I can come to you and go, all right,
Yeah.
what's next? And I'm like, oh man, the Marvel world, the world of indie, like you get into the independent comics. He's like, I can't wait, but I gotta stay focused for now, or I'm gonna be all over the place.
Mhm.
But he's so excited to have discovered this new world of reading and these new stories and new characters and all the things. And I remember that. I remember like I had always been a Batman guy and reading all the Batman, and then all right,
Yeah.
I'm Batmaned out, and I did all of the Marvel, and then needing something to keep me occupied and starting Lock and Key,
Yeah.
and then realizing that the independent scene can be so amazing, and now that's all I just read indie books all the time.
Yeah.
Like
There's something for everybody, buddy. There really is. And
all
so
there,
you
all
either
there. And I always tell
have
people, I
on
haven't read everything in here, but boy, I've read a lot of it.
you either have on the shelf or on order or can order depending on because obviously
Depending on what it is.
you buy a couple of things and you sell it. So like
Yep.
a lot of these books are available at Galactic Comics and Collectibles if you're interested in. So like Mouse, for example,
Yeah, a lot
Bone.
of these
You
are.
can
I try to
get
keep, and Mouse goes out of print, and I always try to get, even
that.
if we have used copies of it, I try to have
It's
Mouse.
not if you go into Galactic and it's not on the shelf. It's not because Paul doesn't want to carry it. It's likely because he either can't carry it or someone bought the copy that he had.
Yeah,
This is
and
not
just
like
ask.
yes, exactly. And our friends, I wanted to give a shout out if you're looking for like novels that are potentially banned or challenged. Your Fahrenheit 451s, your Kill a Mockingbirds,
Yep.
those kind of books, as well as graphic novels that if Paul doesn't have it, and either it's out of print check with Briar Patch Books in downtown Bangor if you're in the Bangor area. They also have a website. You can check them out online. Gibran does carry a lot of these books on the shelves, his too, because he's belief that literature should be for everybody and that
Absolutely.
there shouldn't be someone telling you what to read.
Chances are your best bets to go to ask Gibran, where are the banned book section? Go there.
Yep.
And you're going to find probably some of your best books.
Yes, exactly. And then if there's other stuff, so if you're looking for novels, check out Briar Patch. If you're looking for comics, graphic novels, check out the Galactic Comics and Collectibles. They're both in Bangor. If you're in those areas, they both either have a web presence or are close to having a web presence.
Ooh, this week,
this week,
I think Galactic Comics and Collectibles.com returns.
If you don't have access to it, message them on Facebook and say, I'm looking to get mouse. Can you get me a cat mouse? Can you ship it to me? Paul will make it happen. So don't worry about that. So these books are accessible. And I do think that if you read them, you realize that there's just about, it's like my neighbor. Like it's about them. It's about, outside
somebody's
of
life that
The Walking Dead. Walking Dead or Saga where there's like alien boobs and shit like that. Or Trojan where there's like snake boobs.
Oh, yeah. Ugh.
That's Daniel for you. Daniel Krause.
That was weird.
But yeah, so like, to me, I'm like, read books, read comics, read graphic novels, read books, listen to audiobooks, do all that stuff. There's such a wide, amazing imagination out there for people. Plus, there's like historic, great stories, like historic stories.
Just don't read it.
Yes.
Go read something else.
But put something else in their hand. Don't get someone so down on it, like, oh, I can't read mouse or I can't read genderqueer. Then put
go read
Daredevil in their hand or Deadpool. No, not Deadpool. But
just go read Calvin and Hobbes and enjoy it.
Exactly. It's true. And so bannedbooksweek.org is a website for a bunch more information about what's banned and what's not. If you want to support it and support these creators who are marginalized and picked apart by their stories, and then go there and find what stories there are. If you're wondering whether or not a book you've read before is on that or not, there's that there too. If you hate to say it, if you want to avoid them, go there and check out what books to avoid. Read what you want to read,
and that's fine.
I think we're inappropriate in the world to tell people what they can and cannot read by law, unless it's physically harmful to someone. There shouldn't be a book about how to commit suicide. I'm sorry, that should not be existing because that's physically going to harm someone. But if it changes someone's mindset on what they believe or what they don't believe or what they opens their minds to other things, that's a different story. And I think that's great. So whether it be fantasy, a memoir, or just a cool story, there shouldn't be so many regulations on it, in my opinion, or people trying to fight this for it. I don't want to read biblical stories just because I don't want to read biblical stories, so I'm not going to read biblical stories. That's how it is.
Read a banned book today, folks.
Yes, exactly. So Galactic Comics and Collectibles is at 547 Hammond Street in Bangor, Maine.
Sure.
GalacticComicsandCollectibles.com coming soon.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be so exciting.
Facebook.com and Instagram, though, if you want them, contact them. Paul's very active on there and so on and so forth. Check them out. And then we'll do another movie review at some point in the future here, and we'll see what happens there. But until then, Paul, thank you so much for joining us again. And happy Banned Books Week. Let's read some banned books this week. How about that? Sound good?
Remember, the 5th of November.
See you, buddy.